All right.
Oh, great players.
Well, then I'm going to start it.
Maximum patience and forgiveness.
Kristen, I assume I'm throwing to you as always, right? We're good for that?
Yes.
Okay. Just like to make sure. All right.
Don't fire me, please.
All right.
Bo's last appearance on the show we need him absolutely at the head of. All right, here we go. It begins in, make sure that's all up. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to There Will Be Dungeons for Sunday, September 13th, 2020. I'm Scott Johnson with Bo Schwartz, John Jagger, Kristen Ashton, and Kyle Ferguson. And Baby Chunks is along with us as well. And we are here yet again to spend some time with you playing Dungeons and Dragons. And you might want to do it with some refreshing tea beverages, which you can get over at phoenixpearltea.com/TWBD. Every tea in that link is based on something we've done in our campaign at one time or another. And I recommend all of them. So go check them out, phoenixpearltea.com/TWBD. Let's waste no time and get started. Let's throw it over to Kristen, and she'll tell us what happened last time on There Will Be Dungeons.
Last time on There Will Be Dungeons, the reunion resolved roughly. Nash tore toward Stanley, Varel, Bok, and Chunks. They dashed to their domicile. Stanley dyspeptically decried Hope's decision, and Varel celebrated her selection. Temper still teeming, a trip to the Tieflings would be taken, but before bolting, Bok chose Chunks to learn from the lizard, growing the group's 4 into 5. They took to the Tiefling town where Nobieri roused a ritual of full flames, awakening Abagreer, an ancient ascended Tiefling. She told Hope of more than mortality and of predestined pastings fostered by fighting for a future. Next, Hope sought the survivors' stories, ending with Stanley, Nash, and Varel. Stanley storied about his human mother and elven father, of a love that lasted growing up, but he was an obtainable oddity. His parents were purged to derive him for display. His torturer taught him a new tongue, one that welcomed the murderer's memory every time he talked. And now, after dying and resurrecting, he was lost, not recognizing reality. Nash shared his youth in the solar mines. He and his friends were treated tamely, tokened with treasures from an ancient age. Then the sores started, and the kindness canceled, and Nash realized his fanciful future was false. He roused a rebellion, burned everything to the ground, and departed. Varel told his tale through titles, earned by great and grand deeds. After finishing, the area was named the Harbor, where all were welcome to rest and refine their routes. Varel, Nash, Hope, and Chunks continued to the cottage, but Stanley stayed to speak with Eminil. She had fallen for him during their time together in Tiet Kala and was relieved at his return, but Stanley denied her dotage, dour with the details of his death. Meanwhile, as the rest returned, Varel sensed the scent of his own. They asked Lyriel about any lingering lizard folk, but she knew none. They stalled for Stanley before leaving to find the familiar foil. Now rejoin our already adventuring adventurers! What lizard folk is living in the woods? Can Stanley come to terms with his troubled tales? And what challenges will Chunks chance? Stay tuned for today's adventure within the sacred halls and green walls of Elhandar.
All right, Bo, it's back to you. Take it away.
All right. When last we left off, I believe it was you were entering the cottage, correct? Does everyone remember that?
John, you're the steel memory here.
Oh, sorry. My headphones just unplugged.
I'm the tired steel memory. I don't remember what we were doing at the end of the last episode.
I'm fairly certain that was the case. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it such a survey out of it. All right. When last you left off, you were entering into the cottage by the lake in the biodome of Elhandar. For all intents and purposes, simulated the wilderness with beautiful tall pine trees and fresh forest air. You were just coming back from... One second, sorry. Oh, I'm just hearing a knock at my front door. It's not really what's happening. You were just coming back from Nobieri's in the Tiefling settlement after Hope discussed what was going to be happening next. Upon returning, everyone, single file, solemnly had entered in the cottage, one by one, going in. And as you enter, the smell of a delicious meal wafts into your nose. And you enter into the cottage. You enter into the cottage, and the door closes behind you. And you see Lyriel, going from one part of the stove, to the sink, moving dishes, cutting vegetables. Hard to tell what's going on. But she seems very engrossed in her effort. Likely above Angela, Ashley, and her kids are likely resting in their room. Bok and Chunks seem to be sitting in the living area, discussing something in Goblin with each other. But no sooner has the door closed than you hear a on the door. Everyone turns to look around, and there's a tableau of the heroes of the Waste going, huh? As the door knocks.
We're all in the same space, right? No one's...
You're all inside the cottage, having just walked in from last week.
I'll get it, says Nash, and he'll go open it. Or no, you know what he'll do? He'll go up to it and go, "Who is it?"
Okay, so you want to yell out through the door?
Yeah, through the door I'm going to go, "Who is it?"
Hello, it's the Elven welcoming party. How about that?
Why did you hesitate?
I didn't. It was, I don't know, some affectation of the mind or something. It's just really nothing sinister behind it.
I would like
we come bearing gifts and welcomes.
I would like to go to the front window and press my face against the glass so I can see sideways.
Yeah. I love that.
So it begins. So you're not being stealthy about this, right? You're just pressing your... Yeah. All right. So you press your face against the glass, look out, and you see 5 elves. All there's one that's up at the door and 4 behind them. 4 of the elves are dressed in what seems to be some casual attire, so very plain, sort of gray beige tops and slacks with sandals, and one of them is dressed in black. The same military blacks as as you saw on the ship arriving here. In fact, as you scrutinize a little further, you see that it's Admiral Chrysorius among the party. And then as that happens, another elf with long blonde hair darts out from the tree line and rushes to join them, slowing down his jog as he gets closer. An elf you don't recognize.
I convey that to Nash.
Varel, what do you think? Are we letting him in?
Was it the leader that was talking? The captain we knew from the ship?
No, in fact, it's one of the ones you don't recognize that was knocking on the door.
Seems official. They're likely here for therapy.
So, all right. Just be on your guard, everyone. I'm opening this door. So far, these guys have been fine. But I'll open it.
Okay, you open it, and the elves are there. They smile, and the one in the front says, that was speaking to you, Nash, says, "Thank you so much for opening the door. We've come bearing gifts. If you would please invite us in, we'd love to have a small chat with you."
Okay, come on in.
All right, and the lead one, you notice, has a big basket, and inside the basket, as he lifts it up and to show you and hand it to you, Nash, you see that there's an array of delicious and ripe vegetables and fruits and cold cuts and even slices of larger pieces of meat. Just a cornucopia of the best of a farmer's market could have to offer. And the elf lifts it up and hands it to you, and he says, from the finest purveyors of such things in the biodome, all fresh ingredients for you.
I love the idea of an elf market with cold cuts where they got the saw going and they're doing the, ooh, is that thin enough for you? And like, no.
Yeah, a little thinner. Could be thinner. So hold on a second. Is there anything? Does anyone on the team, Table Talk, have a way to tell if we just let a bunch of vampires in? Because it occurs to me that you have to let them in. I don't know if the rules apply in Bo's particular D&D world or not, but vampires usually have to be invited in, and we just did it. So I'm just
So there are other tests.
You just did it.
I know. Well,
Let's be clear who did it.
I just
you
let
did
them
it.
in.
And now we live with it. We'll find out if they're vampires.
Okay.
Right, I don't think we ever figured that out as characters. We did the attic fight. We knew that Monsoon Cabbage was a vampire, but I don't think the characters ever connected.
There was a whole thing about him needing to be invited in to be able to get in, but I don't remember if our characters know that or if we know that.
Yeah.
Oh well, they're in. Either way, Nash invited.
Okay, so they're in no matter what. We deal
I
with
mean,
whatever
as players, if you want,
ramifications
do you guys know if reflections are a thing or not? If you-
No,
you know.
we definitely don't know that.
come. No.
Let's not worry
might.
about it.
Nash met,
It's definitely on brand for me to send not 1 but 5 vampires at you for interesting encounters, TM. But
well,
Maybe don't worry
Nash
about
would know this. Nash would know the mirror thing because he read the Twilight books. Remember, they're part of. He had those in the.
oh, so what else do you remember from Twilight?
Well, the problem is I don't remember if Twilight had the mirror thing or not because they definitely had daytime.
yeah, make a history, but we don't have. You don't have to actually remember,
Okay,
right? Your
all
character
right.
can roll history checks to see if they know that knowledge, and
All
that can
right.
assist you then.
Let's do it.
So there's an angle for you.
All right. So let's do a.
It's established canon that Nash has read the Twilight novel.
Yeah, that we've
By this-
done. We have definitely done that in the past. All right, here we go. A nat 20 and a +3, so a 23.
Okay, so now I don't know what the version of vampires is in the novels because I haven't read them. So could still be inaccurate for those who've read the books. I apologize. But you seem to recall that there were quite a few tests when it comes to vampires. 1, they detest garlic. 2, to the point of death, right? It's
Right.
deathly. They're deathly ill around garlic. And you also remember that they don't have reflections.
Okay.
So you have other options to test for them. The 2 that you immediately thought of.
Then knowing that, I would want to look around the room and just see what we've got in the way of mirrors.
Well, you take a look around, and there seems to be a hutch in the sort of living area, the social common area, and it has on the back of it a mirror. In addition to all the plates and cups it appears to store in the hutch, there's a mirror atop it. If you could get them to stand in front of it, you might get an answer.
Okay. I'm going to say one of the grand traditions we have in our group here is that we like to introduce people to our hutch full of goods and have you appraise them to see if you like what you see. So please step over here and look at this hutch full of beautiful...
A deception roll, please.
Okay, hold on.
Just love that Nash invites somebody in, thinks, "Oh shit, what if they're vampires?" and then makes them look in a mirror.
It's
I
fair.
could have planned
4
it better
point.
myself.
All right, what am I? Deception, you say?
The people are like, "You do so much work." I'm like, "I just bring NPCs in, and then Scott gets a hold of them."
That's right. You said deception, right?
Yes, please.
That's a 17.
Sorry, I'm gonna sneeze a second. Sorry.
All right. Maybe.
It's on its way. Like
Why are
you know
you-
that
Why are you being weird about it?
it's because it's on its way.
Why are you
but
making the sneeze weird, Bo?
It's in a 50%. It went away. You made it go back
You made
in.
it go away.
Thanks.
So wait,
Crawl
one of
back
the
in.
cures. Somebody get on Wikipedia. Put one of the cures
Well done.
as John being there. Just have John there, and your sneeze will go away. I like it.
He's like, "Why are you being weird?" I'm like, "Sneezes aren't weird. I'm super triggered. Sneezes are normal."
All right. So did I deceive him?
You guys are too funny. Sorry, what was the roll for the deception?
17.
Okay. So the elf in the front says, he looks back and he says, "Just me or all of us?"
Everyone. We love to have, there's a tradition. We like to do this here. It's an important tradition we like to uphold. So come on in. It's
Very
just
well.
a moment.
I speak for all of us when we would like to show the appropriate respect and deference to your beliefs. Come, everyone. And everyone walks in, and you notice that each of them have baskets also filled with tons of food. And except for the Admiral, the two in black, the Admiral and the elf you don't know in black. But all 6 of them come in and make their way to. Were you directing them in front of the hutch or something?
Yeah, just
like
sort of
that?
like, arms out, sort of directing tourist traffic to our sweet hut.
They all walk towards the front of the hutch, and you look to your left to see. Okay, do they have reflections? And you see all 6 accounted for.
Okay, they're all reflected back.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't break. I'll let them gaze for a minute and say, thank you. Our customs have been upheld. So now, back to the. You're here now. It's good. Turn around. We don't need to look at this anymore. I'll say.
Well, very good. Where can we put these gifts we've brought?
We better ask the doctor, since she's in charge around here. It's her.
If Kristen doesn't mind doing a few Lyriel lines, if she's not.
I didn't notice she wasn't on camera. Sorry. My bad. Here she is.
Yes. So, and Ash has. Oh, you probably heard. You had your headphones off. Sorry.
Oh, yes, welcome. Dinner is about to be served. Shall I set more plates?
Oh, marvelous. Actually, Lyriel, we've had quite a busy afternoon and haven't had time for repast yet. Would it be too much of a imposition if we could partake in some of your meal tonight? We could help cook the extra that's required.
Oh, no. I will set the extra plates. You all have a wonderful time here. And please let me know if anybody needs anything.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And where can we set these down, please?
Oh, I'll take them. One moment. And she'll
Perfect.
ferry them off to the kitchen one by one.
All right, one by one, the four casually dressed elves hand you their baskets of food and items, and leave them there. And then they look to you, Nash, and says, "So should we sit in the common area? We just like to have a visit and chat with you."
Sure.
While we wait for dinner to be prepared.
Sure. Have a seat anywhere you'd like, and we'll sit wherever's left.
And there seems to be enough chairs in this common area, sofas and the like, that everyone is able to sit down. Now, in particular, as the seating arrangements go, would you guys want to sit? Would you guys want to sit all close together and distant from them? Would you want to stagger yourselves out so that you can socialize better? This includes Hope. I don't have a map of the seating arrangement. Now that we're in this predicament, I realize this might have been actually kind of a fun thing to do. So I'm just going to sketch out a little map here, but I won't be able to show you. But let's say there's a sofa. Okay. There are 2 chairs, and there's one big lazy boy comfortable style chair, 2 rocking chairs rather. A sofa that can seat about 3. And then there's a larger lazy boy chair for sitting and reading a book, and a pipe, bigger and not necessarily more comfortable, but it has some cushions, big and made of wood. And then there's dining table. There's a coffee table in the center, and you can grab chairs from the table for the remaining seats to form a circle. So, any preferences? Would you go and shotgun seats, or would you offer them seats? How do you want to do that now?
I'll offer them seats. I'll just say, I'll just sort of say, feel free to sit anywhere you like. If you have a particular seat you'd prefer, just go ahead and grab whatever you need.
Okay, so perfect. So
it can be kind of random. It's fine.
Yeah, they all kind of do that. Admiral Chrysoria says, "That's fine. I'll stand. I'm not staying long." And he moves there and stands. One of the elves sits on the sofa. One of the elves takes one of the rocking chairs near the sofa. And then the 2 other elves bring over, chairs from the table and sit down staggered style in the circle. So the four casually dressed elves sit spaced out and staggered. And then the other unidentified elf in the black outfit goes and sits on the big chair. The big reading chair, we'll call it.
Okay.
All right, so the remaining seats left are a sofa, a rocking chair, or you can bring chairs from the table to join for the 4 of you.
Stanley would probably grab a chair and bring it over.
Okay, perfect. Nash?
Sit on one. I'll sit on the left side of the sofa.
Perfect. All right. So you sit down far away from the person there, but the person in the rocking chair is next to you on the left. Okay.
That's fine.
And Hope, would you like to sit somewhere?
Hope will lean up against a wall.
Okay.
Kind of like arms crossed, feet out a little bit.
Sure. And Varel, you see everyone sitting in this social thing. What's your take on it?
Vrel will stand behind the couch, hovering slightly.
Okay, perfect. All right, great. Okay, excellent. So that's all of you seated, and everyone sort of sits down, and then Bok and Chunks are actually kind of in the area. They're sitting on the floor behind the couch near you, Varel, just talking to each other. They're really ignoring what's going on. Perfect. Okay, so everyone sits down, and finally the elf who's been speaking says, allow me to make introductions so that you know who everyone is. As you may have surmised, we four elves here who are dressed a little more casually today are the therapists that have been assigned to you. Was this explained upon your arrival?
Somebody got talked to, right, about that?
Yes, it was mentioned.
All right. Well, let's do the introduction, shall we? I'm Dr. Zanzafir. Okay, and that's the one on the couch saying that he's Dr. Zanzafir. And I've got to just keep notes now because this is like an intricate social situation. Okay, and this here on the rocking chair, and points to a female elf on the chair. This is Dr. Tindalanthalas. Dr. Tindalanthalas says, hello. And this here, sitting on one of the chairs, is Dr. Mahasiyabi. Okay. And this other one here is Dr. Jome Amenthar. Also sitting on the chair. Jome with an M. That's Mahasi. Transferring one note from one page to another. Mahasiyabi. Perfect.
These are great
names.
And
of course, you all know Admiral Chrysorius. You fought with him aboard the ship for Elhendar. And this one over here, not a doctor. His name is Delanioria. And Delanioria, I'm going to write over here, takes a deep bow and says, "It's an honor to see you all again." And he's a male. Sorry, what did I call him? That's Hope. That's Chrysorius, and that Chrysorius. The last one is Delanoria. Perfect. So,
which one was the blonde one that came running up late?
Delanoria.
Okay.
And which one took the lazy boy?
The one that took the lazy boy was Delanoria.
Oh.
That's right. I had trouble. See, that's why I was taking notes. Good thing, but thank you for the reminder because I put them in twice. So Admiral Chrysorius looks to all of you and says, I simply wanted to come here and vouch for the people visiting. I realize that all your years spent on Earth, you might not have even heard of a therapist, or maybe you've heard rumors that they go into your mind and they change things. That's not what they do. They're here strictly to help you, and it's optional, and that's not what they're here to do today, to force it. They're just simply here to say hello and introduce themselves to you. Enjoy their company and feel no obligations or sense of pressure. I also brought with me Delanoria, who was aboard the ship when we were attacked, and he is a student of martial warfare, which is not something that's a prevalent activity here in Elhendar. And meeting such great heroes as yourselves, he's requested to speak with you about a potential training or accompaniment to observe your activities so that he may learn. And I'll allow him to speak for himself, but I simply wanted to come here as a is a link to let you know that these are all trustworthy Elhandari, among the best of us, and that I vouch for them. And so would the High Elf as well. That's everything. I will excuse myself now, but I would speak to Vorel privately for a second, if that's fine, before I leave.
Very well.
And he makes his way to the front door and exits the cottage.
Am I to join you out there?
Yes, please, privately, so not within earshot of others.
Excuse
Nothing
me.
sinister, just a private piece of information for Vorel. Personal.
I'll head out there.
Okay, and you head outside, and he continues walking, and he wants to walk and talk as he heads towards the pond and the bridge, and he looks to you, and he says, "You know he's here, right?"
The principal.
No. Your countryman. Omnom,
Ah,
great warrior.
yes, I smelled him earlier.
He felled 12 or 15 of those demons before succumbing himself. Quite something. I just mention it to you because he has been released, but he's had difficulty integrating here, and I think he needs to see one of his own. Now, I'm aware that he is somewhere nearby. I don't know exactly where, but I might ask you a favor and go speak with him before he causes any trouble to himself. And perhaps it would be best if he returned down to the surface if this is not a good place for him. We simply want the best for him. But I thought perhaps you could speak with him, as you don't seem to have had the same problems he has, even with a short visit to a space station. So I'm sure he's nearby, and I'm sure you have the tools to find him. But I thought I'd mention it in case it had slipped your attention.
I will seek him out. Thank you.
Very good. Elhandar first. And he nods, and he walks off.
Odd. Parting. I'll head back in.
All right, we head back in, and there's a lovely awkward silence carrying over the living room as the elves look around and perhaps expectantly waiting for someone from your party to say something as part of the conversation.
Well, was I missed?
Not a lot's happening. They're just kind of being quiet.
What do you guys talk about out there?
Omnom. He is not accustomed to these environments. He must be suck out, or he might harm others, it seems. You there. All three of you on the couch.
There was only two on the couch.
Two of you on the couch. Therapy. Tell me of this.
So Dr. Zanzafir looks to you. This is the elf that's been speaking the whole time. He says, "Yes, therapy. Would you like an explanation as to what it is? Essentially, you've heard of doctors before, right? Medics, perhaps clerics and priests who heal your body when it is wounded in battle.
Mm-hmm.
You are familiar?
The only one I knew, enslaved pixies, turned them into drugs, and performed malpractice on my friend here, pointing at Hope.
Well, doctors are not all good. Some doctors follow their moral compass as each person does outside of that. So some doctors are quite helpful, and some doctors use their abilities for personal gain or for destruction even, depending on what they're doing. So no, that's not to say all doctors are good, but the primary function of an Earth doctor, from your planet's history, the humans that were there before, was to do no harm and to help others recuperate their bodies. And that was their role in a society. And we've carried on the tradition of doctoring in that way here. So the doctors of Elhandar repair your body. And to put it from a lizard folk perspective, they are servants to those who are warriors. The warriors go out and fight, and the doctors repair the bodies so they may fight again. That makes sense to you. You must have something similar from your kind.
Stanley does on occasion perform such deeds.
Yes. So that's a doctor for the physical. But one of the things the humans of Earth discovered was that the brain, your mind, also takes tolls. They wear you down. They take your energy away. When suddenly you had the will to fight, you are overcome with sadness, and you cannot. Now, Varel, you may not be as familiar with this, but I trust that your human and elf and even tiefling companions struggle with moral questions and do things that are confusing to you, right?
Yes, these two are sad often. I point at Hope and Stanley.
It could be, and it's no shame, it could be that their brain requires some repair just like their body. And that is what we do as therapists. We ensure everyone has a healthy mind. And with a healthy mind, they can go forward and be of maximum service and perform at their best.
I see.
And that's simply the service we offer all Elhandari, and that's what makes Elhandar great and powerful. But it also is what maintains order. So we've developed a law that it's required that everyone have a therapist, although they do not have to attend. This is true for all elves and all guests, but the service is available. And once you find that you have used reparation, like if a doctor cured you of a broken arm, you would gladly go to the doctor again and have it repaired as many times as needed after as many battles as you might experience. The elves of Elhandar find, and many of our guests find, that the repairs to their mind are quite profitable, quite beneficial. So it's something that we endeavor to have an expertise in. We're not here to force you into therapy. It's simply, we have few laws here, but this is one of them. And we prefer the exchange to be very friendly. So we've come bearing gifts, and we'd just like to get to know you better. No new obligations will arise from our visit.
And what of the other direction? And I lean over on the couch and kind of widen my hands, leaning over them.
The other direction?
Yes. What if one drew their power from anger and wished to be more angry?
Oh, anger is not a sign of disrepair, Pharrell.
Excellent. But what if I wish to have better
We're not
anger?
We're not here to
Stronger
make people
anger.
happy. We're not here to make people happy. We're here to make them perform better and be healthy. Healthy people can murder just as unhealthy people can. In fact, unhealthy people have a harder time in combat, I imagine, since they may not have a body that allows them to fight well. We're simply here to enhance performance, most of all.
Performance enhancing. I like this. I will sign up for one of your workouts.
Excellent. Certainly. Well, we can discuss a scheduled time later. We didn't bring that. I mean, you know, there's some question as to what you will be doing next. If you don't plan on staying, we might not get the chance to meet. What are your plans, everyone? You've been here for a couple of days. Are you going to be staying on for a longer term?
I mean, we hadn't fully discussed it yet, but the only pressing business that I feel I need to get to is there is word that my father might still be back on our planet and needs to be brought here. I would very much like to see that happen, and well, part of the deal for finding him is attending one of these therapy sessions, so you can count me in as well. But beyond that, I have no plans.
One of the other elfin therapists, Dr. Jome Amenthar, who is seated on one of the chairs, looks to you, Stanley, and says, hello, Stanley. I'm Dr. Jome Amenthar. And I'll be your therapist. I'm here. I'm very glad to hear that you'd like to take the time to speak with me. We can decide what time of the week would be best for you soon. Yes? But I know that you have many questions, and the food was not the only gifts we brought. I have something else to show you. And she stands up, and for everyone to see from her garments, she produces a key. It's a rather large key that fits like in her hand, and she says, "This belonged to your father, Dalit. He left here with specific instructions to give this to you. Here, take it."
Stanley will reach out, take the key. It's strange to think that he was ever here.
Oh, there's still much that you will learn now. In fact, this very cottage that you're standing in was built by your father. Your father was a brilliant man and the admiration of many of the elves of Elhandar. But in later years, an event occurred that changed him and changed his priorities. And he began making expeditions to Earth. There was a time when he spent much of his life in the laboratories and did not spend much time in the biodome. But after things had changed, he had built this place, an unusual dwelling for elves, a dwelling for humans. And he said that, well, I mean, he didn't tell me, just the rumor, the information that we know, is that he was building this place for his son, which Dalit had no son ever on Elhandar. But he had explained that in therapy and publicly too. We're not breaking any oaths here by saying that. Sorry, I realize that's confusing. But essentially, it was known that he had become driven by his new obsession. And he built this place for you. That might be a lot to take in. How do you feel?
I mean, I had no idea. I was very young when I lost my family, and I don't have any memories of him being going places, building things, but I don't know much of what they did. That whole time was a long time ago.
Well, the one thing I know about the key is that it opens a door in this cottage. But we have kept this locked away for many years, and, well, he left us with no particular instructions on what door that opens. But it's our hope for you, Stanley, that you find answers for your father. Did you know him long?
No, I'm not even sure how old I was when I was taken. Not a lot of birthdays celebrated where I wound up.
Well, perhaps if you remember some of his personality, the way to the door might become clear to you. But we know for certain it's in this cottage. Perhaps after we depart, you can conduct a search for it. Unless you'd like to look now.
No, I'll wait. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you can add a cottage key to your inventory. Just write it down. And she says, I'm not quite sure what we were talking about before that, but, Dalit left a legacy, and certainly, Stanley, if you want to speak more about your father in a private session, I'd be happy to do so for you. And sort of half interrupting, Doctor and the other female of the four, there's two female, two male, looks to you, Varel, and says, "Varel, I am Dr. Tindelanthelas, and I'll be your therapist.
How is her physique? Is she fit?
She's fit. The elves seem to share a very similar physique, and they're lithe, but they're definitely fit. They definitely show signs of working out and not of being soft. They have muscled bodies that you can see.
Oh, very good. You seem capable.
Thank you. You seem capable too.
An understatement, perhaps.
I look forward to our conversations together.
Yes, this whole scheduling thing is a bother.
We'll take care of that for you. We'll have someone sent round to coordinate the particulars. Our intent today is simply to get to know each other.
Ah, I see. Well, what questions do you have for me?
None. We simply the conversation we meant to keep light, in fact, excepting for the bit about Stanley's father. We are here simply to, as the humans of old used to say on Earth, shoot the shit.
I've heard that one before.
Yes.
It's a good one.
Are we doing well?
Yeah, this is definitely shit shooting.
All right.
Yeah.
Perhaps we can enhance this shootery by performing feats.
And then you're Dr. Joe Mammon. No, wait, which one's yours? Dr. Tindelanthelas looks to you and says, "And what feat would you like us to see or to do?"
Well, we've been, frankly, all across the multiverse at this point, and I hunger for some entertainment this evening. Is there anything you guys can do to shoot the shit?
Well, we can play some cards. With doctors by trade, not entertainers. Perhaps you'd like to discuss the nature of your experience. Tell us of your histories, perhaps. We'd be interested in just knowing your story if you have tales to tell. Life aboard El Handar is beautiful, but many times uneventful, and you live such interesting lives.
I fear we bring events with us.
Now, they've invited themselves over for dinner, just so everyone knows. We don't have to role play the entire dinner at this point, so we can enjoy the conversation. But the general gist of everything is, I think, for what I'm intending to do as a DM, is good. So if you want to ask them more questions and conversate more, we can do that. Otherwise, we can sort of do the whole eating dinner and playing a board game or something. I don't know, something along those lines. But just so you guys know, I don't have anything else planned with them.
Okay. Well, I would have at the dinner, but stay no longer than the meal requires, and then I'd head out to look for Omnom.
Perfect. Nash,
I would
Stanley, Hope, anything to add to that?
I'd do exactly the same.
Who are their therapists? Do they get introduced to them?
Would you like to ask them? Who are their?
Nash and Hope, I'm guessing.
Oh, Nash and Hope. Okay, would you like to ask in character, or are you asking me?
You know what? If you're asking that, Nash would go, yeah. Who do I get?
So the last male elf who hasn't spoken says, "I'm Dr. Mahasiyabi, and Nash, I'll be your therapist if you would kindly have me."
I'll totally have you, and I'll put my hand out to shake it. My good hand that has less stuff on it.
Oh, I haven't had a handshake in quite a long time. And he gets up and shakes your hand.
Okay. Cool.
And he grips it tight, and he says, "It is an honor to be your therapist." Just super profusely, like this guy, and like you read it on his face. This guy is like really thrilled to be your therapist.
Okay. Do I sense that it's because he thinks I'm a mess and I'm going to be a real job for him, or what's the deal?
Insight check. Let's see if you can get it.
All right. I'm doing it. +1. Okay, here we go. Oh, weird. That didn't roll. Why? There it is. 14.
Okay. You're not sure if this is accurate because of the role, but you do get the sense that he's treating. You feel like maybe like a bit of a celebrity or something. He seems to have a demeanor that people would have for Varel and M fighting back in Sigil.
Okay.
And the rest of the party notices this too.
All right. I will. I won't investigate any more. Other than that, it makes me glad I'm not feeling some trepidation or like he's being weird or whatever. So that's fine.
All right. So then Dr. Zanzafir also looks around and says, and not only us, but there's a few other that are going to join us in just a few moments for dinner. And those are the therapists for Angelashi. We have Dr. Amladenth. And for Little Chunks, we have Dr. Brandy Lockripple. And also for your friend Bok Bok. And I think that's everyone accounted for. Yes.
Hold on, Randy Lockripple, is that right? Randy Lockripple.
Brandy
Lockripple. That's a great name.
She has a special interest in old human culture and adopted a human name in spite of being an elf. She just really enjoys that so much that she changed her name.
What about the Lockripple part? The Lockripple part doesn't sound human.
Lockripple?
Yeah.
It was a common last name in the 29th century Earth time measurement. There was a famous general with the name Lockripple, and soon everyone wanted to have the last name. Then joined them.
All right.
It's a long story, but it became kind of a cult for a time. Anyway, shall we off to dinner? Lyriel, is it dinner ready?
Oh yes, come on. Dinner is served, and the dinner is already on the table, ready to go for everyone.
And while I was there, did Hope have anything she wanted to add to any of this, or is it sullen dark clouds in the corner?
Not dark clouds, but she's very thoughtful. She's clearly thinking hard about some very heavy stuff, but it's not depressed, angry, kind of a quiet.
Perfect. All right, so now that the initial introductions have been done and some conversation was there, Lyriel, dinner will be ready soon, and so everyone then will move to the dining area and have a nice feast. And the conversation is stilted and awkward as you guys are introspective and quiet, and the people who have visited are very in touch with how you're feeling and don't try to be boisterous. They're nothing if not respectful and pleasant to be around, if a little weird because they're elves and they don't seem to be very pinned in a certain way, personality wise. So the dinner goes well. Everyone is full. Lyria or Hope, Kristen, do you have any? You want to have any say in what was made for dinner? Because Lyriel, I feel like she's got this under control so hardcore.
Oh yeah, it would be a big turkey with lots of some of the fresh veggies that were added. There would be a stew to the side, fresh bread, freshly baked that day. For dessert, there would be pie. There would be lots of different drinks, a nice fruity ale if anybody wanted it, of course, some water, maybe some freshly squeezed juice. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. And would Hope participate in dinner, by the way, or is she also still staying away?
No, she'd eat.
Okay, perfect. All right. So the dinner progresses, and then finally the party gets up and moves towards the door, and they're thanking, thank you for the lovely dinner. It was very wonderful. You were pleasant. We're really glad you're here at Alhandar. And finally, the younger elf, in the black outfit, who's also there but didn't say much through all of this, approaches you, Stanley, as there's departure conversations happening, and he says, I just wanted to say that I saw you aboard the ship during the battle with the ghost skeleton pirates, and I just wanted to let you know that I was a great admirer of your abilities. It's astounding. Elves can sometimes be quite arrogant, and even, they won't admit it, but a little hard on half-elves. Even though we do accept them as elves, proper and true, but your life is so short compared to us. Yet you're capable of things due to your human side that we would benefit from knowing. And I think the doctor already said this, but I would very much like to accompany you on your next journey. Would you be willing to have me as something of an apprentice, Stanley?
Your we heard that your interest, you're looking to learn some skills beyond the therapy style fighting that your people seem to employ.
Yes, well, I am trained in those arts, but I don't practice them. I practice something I learned from old records. The humans of Earth, in spite of the mundanity of this part of the creation, so little magic and resources of the truly wondrous in the cosmos, they developed something interesting. They call them martial arts. The old ones, they had names for them. Hyper jujitsu, techno karate, incredible but spiritual versions of combat requiring no weapons. And so I've endeavored to learn the arts of martial combat using no weapons. You can dispatch someone with a simple twist of the right part of their body.
Well, sounds like I would have more to learn from you than you from me. I'm afraid I'm not very good in that department.
Most of my practice is academic, and in the gym, I have not truly been tested in battle, and that's where my admiration for you and your companions comes in. I'd like to know the true feeling of battle.
All right. We don't exactly have the greatest track record with people tagging along, but if you want to maybe join us on a couple of our errands around here, maybe an opportunity to learn a thing or two would come up. I don't see harm in that.
Should I stay here then with you now? What sort of regimen would you want as your apprentice?
I've never really considered having an apprentice before. I'm not sure exactly what that would entail.
Well, in spite of me being your elder, I'm still quite young for an elf, only 300 years old. But I assure you I'm quite mature, and I've been on the earth quite a bit, and I understand what it means to lead, but also what it means to follow. And so I would not be some young human who might be quite green under their ears. I am mature and sophisticated enough to not be in your way and to have the things you need at the ready as much as possible. Something almost of a squire. But, that does not mean, well, I don't know. It simply means that I will be there for you as much as possible.
All right. If you think it would be best for you to stay, do you have a place here? Could you come back tomorrow?
Yes, I have a loft in the woods just on the other side of the forest. Takes a 10-minute run to get here. I can be here, or if you don't mind, I can be at the home. I have to defer to you and your wisdom.
Well, the admiral said you were on board the ship with us. You fought with the.
I was, yes. That was my first combat. That was the first combat for many of the elves. We have not had to practice in quite some time.
Is there something I can roll, do a check, see if I can remember this guy aboard the ship?
Yeah. It's just like do a history check. I think would be the best one. Or what would be int based? I think because
history is intelligent.
Yeah, I think history's right. Yeah, that's it.
22.
So you search your mind, and then you do remember at one point seeing him, but the elves none of them were cowards or hiding, and certainly he didn't either. But you do remember the the wide scalability of their combat, going from super effective to very ineffective. And yeah, you just remember seeing him here. He's one of a number of unnamed elves that you had no idea about. But now that you look at him, you do recognize him as one of the crew.
Well, how about this? It seems like tonight we are all going to busy ourselves with various projects. I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't at least run this by the group and make sure they were going to be okay with someone else tagging along. Why don't you come by tomorrow morning, and we can let you know what we're going to do from there.
Okay. So, Delanoria. Now, my name is Delanoria, but you may call me Dilo. For short.
Well, I'll save you a couple of syllables there, Stanley. It's good.
All right, then I will retire to my abode and return in the morning. Thank you, Stanley. And then he puts his hands to his side and he gives you a respectful bow. And he looks at you and says, Elandar first.
Yes, and Stanley nods awkwardly.
He walks off and he exits along with the rest of the party who's going, bye. Thank you for having us. It was great. Excellent. We'll have someone sent over to schedule your therapy sessions. And, after all the goodbyes are done, the doors close. And Lyriel, sort of looks kind of, I think, pleased. The dinner went quite well and it's a job well done. And you spent all day working on it. I don't know if the rest of the party are going to acknowledge your hard work or simply move on, but that's that's the scene right now. Lyriel is standing at the door. Hope is brooding somewhere, and the three of you are standing just inside the cottage.
I think Stanley's too preoccupied. As soon as everybody's gone, he's got the key back out and is looking at it and fumbling with it. He's anxious to go looking for this thing. So he'd kind of probably say his goodbyes and start just kind of wandering. He's not actively looking yet, but he's doing that thing where you're walking around and it's just looking at things a little longer than maybe he normally would.
Mm-hmm.
Muriel will pipe in. Well, when things like that are found, I've always heard it's best to follow your heart. What do you remember most about your father? And then she'll start cleaning up and go to the kitchen.
Oh, it's not even waiting for an answer. This was a rhetorical question. Stanley will just kind of sit there thinking, looking. Vorel, I know we had spoken earlier about going and finding the lizard folk. I can't recall if you were wanting to make that trip on your own or if you were wanting us to accompany you.
I will do it with whoever chooses to join me, but Stanley, you have been given quite the mystery. If I could, I'd tear this place apart with you, but I am needed elsewhere. You may stay.
I appreciate that. I'll maybe catch up next time. I just want to learn what I can.
Perfectly understandable. Nash, I invite you, though I am furious with jealousy that your therapist was so excited.
I'm not sure my therapist... I don't know why they're so excited. You have feats to be excited about. At the very best, I have a couple of versions of me floating around that might be cooler than me, and I don't know why I don't know why he's excited.
Maybe that is the reason. Maybe they know of this morph.
Maybe.
For a time.
I've been told I'm a shapeshifter, so therapy's going to be fun trying to figure that out.
Oh, you do turn into a dragon.
Yeah.
You've seen this.
Yeah. But now, I can't, as far as I know, I can't turn into anything else. Not yet.
I wanted to ask you all, this Delanoria fellow, do you have any take on him? He's wanting to apprentice me for who knows why, but he wants to join us on some of our adventures and see. Am am hesitant to bring another Tedna along with us.
Still getting kicked 2 years later.
Oh, poor Ted.
But he sounds like maybe he's capable and wants to learn to fight. Certainly wouldn't hurt to have a couple more elves that do more than lob therapy grenades at enemies.
I mean, I'd trust your judgment, but I don't want another Tedna either.
Yes, this new Tedna bothers me greatly.
It's escalating.
300 years old, and he still acts a child. I have but 27 years to live. I fear that this therapy will be slow.
Well, I mean, Varel, you throw yourself into anything, I'm sure you're going to hit the ground running and make progress in no time.
I'm worried more about the style of the therapy training, that it is complicated. Takes weeks in their minds to gather some sort of flowers in the forest and find myself.
Well, maybe think about it this way. If it is what they say it is, and it's a enhancement of the mind, maybe you would be harder to mind control.
That would be a great gift.
Like push-ups for your brain.
Yes. Well, you have me excited now. But I must first to Omnom. Nash, will you accompany me?
Yeah. I'll
Excellent. Hope you are invited as well.
I'll go.
Excellent.
Stanley, good luck.
Look, if everybody is going to be going, I think maybe it would be in our best interest if we all went together. And maybe we can make shorter work of my search by looking when we all get back.
Excellent. We shall tear this house asunder.
I would prefer it not damaged. I only just learned it was built by my father, but yes, we'll find it.
We will respectively pry boards and place them back when we are done.
Better. Definitely better. Yes.
I want to build a house with Varel now.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
I will place the nail and we will hammer it into the wood and it will strengthen the structure. Anyways, sorry.
This is a most honorable foundation.
Exactly. All right, so the four of you decide to all journey together to go see Omnom. So Varel, you step out of the cottage into the night air. There's twilight and stars above it. It's as real can be, even though you know on some level it's not quite right because you're in a ship in space. But you look around to the night air, breathe in the cooled, crisp air, and pick up the scent again of your brethren quite easily. He's nearby, likely observing the cottage from afar, if you had to guess.
Omnom? I can track you. I smell your stench on the air.
Okay, persuasion roll, please. And do it with advantage because it's one of your people.
I welcome advantage. Because it's a 0. 17. No. It's a plus 0, though.
Okay. Perfect. So you call out, and after a moment, you begin to hear footsteps very gently, very carefully on the forest. And then you hear from the tree line, "Curse this dratted forest in revealing my footsteps so easily." And then he emerges, Omnom Cinderborn, with half of his face, like where his mouth, where his thing is, like ripped off. Like he's got half of a mouth from some injury, like it's just permanently just gone. And he has a lot of his scales missing, and there are scars everywhere. And he has a cast on one of his leg and a cast on his arm. And he's got other bandages and things wrapped around him. But you can tell he's picked at all of it, so it all looks super disheveled. and like bad. And he limps from the forest shamefully. And he goes, I had not wanted you to see me this way.
You look glorious. Why would this embarrass me so?
I have suffered 2 defeats.
Ah, so these injuries weren't earned in victory. Tell me.
I am a shame to you.
What has happened since we left you at Razakval?
I fought as long as I could when you left Razakval to reclaim it for you and for our people. But the chicken lords, they would not stop appearing. We lost ground, and one by one, our lizard folk brethren, succumbed to the wounds, and if not to the wounds, to the worms that were in their body, and I had to put them down too. I spent 5 nights fighting chicken lords and lizard folk until I could stand no longer. And I'm shamed to say that I decided to retreat instead of die. I came to your... And he looks at Hope, and then he says, what is she doing here?
And what would be the problem with Hope?
You harbor the she-bitch.
The what?
Roll for initiative.
Sheep itch.
Oh no!
Oh, man. There's just 2 of us, though, right?
There's all 4 of you.
Yeah,
Oh, right. We all went together. Never mind. Oh, boy.
Initiative rules?
7.
Hope's not gonna roll.
I need a roll from you. You can choose to do nothing on your turn.
Okay, fair enough.
7 from Nash, by the way.
26 for Stanley.
23.
13.
13 for Varel. Who am I missing? Sorry, Nash, I didn't get yours.
7.
Thanks.
No worries.
Stanley, you're up first. You have a chance to react to Omnom, who appears to be making a break for Hope immediately.
He wouldn't necessarily want to fight. He's also suspecting Hope did some stuff, and Omnom looks like he knows. Stanley will cast Hold Person on Omnom.
Okay, what sort of
A
rule?
Wisdom 17 saving throw.
Okay, Omnom does not defend against this hold person. It keeps him pinned in for a minute and held in place, correct?
Yep. So he would just immediately lock up, and he is now paralyzed.
Does it, outside of combat, because this will end the combat now, but for now, he can still communicate, right?
Let's see. What status does it do? I believe it's paralyzation, and let's see what...
Let's see what paralyzed does. Yeah, I forget.
Paralyzed creature is incapacitated, can't move or speak. Creature
Okay.
automatically fails strength and dex throws. Attacks against the creature have advantage, and any attack is a critical hit if in melee.
Okay, so you hold Omnom in place, and you see he's like, he's got his mouth open, and he's in like full stride, like runner stride, casts and everything just flying off.
How long will this last?
You have a minute.
Okay. I pick up Omnom and I run Omnom out further.
Okay, let's make a strength check, please. It's for not just for the pickup, but for the run as well.
A 17.
All right, so you pick up. It's like a doll stuck in place. You pick up the lizard folk and then start. You run like Captain America style, just like into the forest. How long and how far do you run?
I count to 30.
Okay, does anyone follow Varel?
Yeah, but at a Actually, I'm gonna float.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
But
float.
no,
somewhere.
stay there.
Can I suggest that Varel's trying to get them away from Hope?
Yeah,
Hope, yes, I'm following.
Stanley would turn and try to stop Hope.
You can do what you like. What do you do?
Okay, he's
Okay,
gonna.
Hope will stop once she
All
realizes.
right, Stanley's gonna try and stop you. Stanley, what do you tell him?
Hope will stop.
What does Omnom know that would make him react this way?
There were lots of things that happened. Of course, I was there at Tiet Kala, but I don't know. We saw each other.
Well, last all of us saw Omnom, we were allies. Now he's ready to attack you just from seeing you. You have no idea why that might be.
Before the demons showed up, I burned down the train station connecting to the principal.
You burned down the train station.
I was going to...
Whoa.
Hold on, sorry.
It's okay. So Hope gets really distracted as Chunks walks out, and he's somehow managed to find a piece of dynamite, and it's not lit. But Hope reacts in that way, just runs up to Chunks and takes the dynamite out, chucks it aside, and ushers Chunks back in, or picks up Chunks and continues speaking.
Before the demons showed up, I was planning on fortifying the city, and I wanted to end the connection we had to Principal City. So I burned the train station.
So you, as the queen, who can presumably pass any decree you want and do whatever you need, decided your best course of action was to burn down the train station, and this made Omnom mad.
Like I said, I don't know specifically why he's mad. A lot's happened in 2 days.
If I can just add, just as a DM, so refresher, because I did listen to this and do some research. You spoke to him and a few tieflings just before the demon army showed up.
Oh, was he there at the...
You were explaining to your people why you were burning down the train station, and then that's when the demon horde showed up, and then everything went to chaos. So
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, maybe because I disappeared, I don't know.
Alright, we'll see what they say when they get back.
All right, then we cut to Varel running. Now there's a range on the spell, so you intend to run 30 seconds, but about 120 feet, we'll just say, into the forest. His body begins loosening up, and he goes, "What is this?"
I put him down.
"Great Fang, why are you carrying me?"
Because you're going to attack Hope, and we need answers. So you're welcome to attack her, but as you run, please explain yourself.
"I'm confused, Great Fang. Is what we've done cowardice?"
To run from Hope?
"When I retreated to Tiet Kala from Razak Val, and I spent some months there. Finally, the Queen had returned, and I was surprised to see that it was Hope, the very woman who slaughtered all of my family with her rocket arm. You recall this, yes? And I had great admiration for her, even though I was not quite that sad for my weak family to have died to such a weak device. And she was aligned with you, our Great Fang. I chose to forgive her trespasses and celebrate her greatness, as I wish for people to celebrate mine and yours, Great Fang. But then, in Tiet Kala, she appeared, and was burning a train station. And I thought this was quite a smart move. Trains are stupid. And in that moment, I felt a connection to her. But then I saw what she had truly planned. She brought a horde of demons to slaughter her own people. And I know she did this on purpose, because when they appeared, she did not defend her people. She opened a portal, some magical circle. I'm not quite sure what a portal even is, just that
The old wise folks would speak of travel to the Dragon Plains. She stepped through it and disappeared, and I watched as her people, weak as they all died, and I alone left to defend her city, only to be defeated and yet not die in glorious battle, to be robbed of my glory and brought to this place that smells of farts. What am I to do, Great Fang? Your companion is evil.
This is most troubling. I believed Hope to be a great warrior.
She may be. She lacks honor.
I do not remember the rocket. I remember being propelled towards my enemy orb. I did not witness this burning of the train, though I have seen many vehicles destroyed and none of them have summoned demons. Well, Hope should be questioned.
Questioning is not my area. I have been robbed of a glorious death twice, and I have been robbed of victory twice. And I'm beginning to feel this unusual thing that is making it hard for me to be a warrior. I need battle, not words.
Stanley's been incapable of battle before because of these feelings.
It's a human sickness. I believe they call it sadness. And they don't think it's a sickness, but it is a sickness. And the only cure is for me to rip as many heads off of living things as possible until it is gone.
Yeah, humans do bathe in that sadness.
They do.
They like it. They use it
Shameful
in their stories.
things.
It is. It is. But we must be calm. And we must act with honor. And Hope must answer our questions or stand your judgment.
I defer to your wisdom, Great Fang. My heart is gladdened that in whatever journey you have been on these past months, you remain as strong and as resolute as when we first met. I will follow your instruction.
Good. Then we will stay here and call Hope to us.
Just know one thing. I need battle soon.
I believe it'll be upon us soon enough. You will taste of it, and it will be glorious, and you may find that death you seek. Hope! You are needed in the woods alone.
Hope will walk toward Varel's voice with Chunks, who's apparently very excited to go into the woods.
Why does she bring the mewling baby?
The baby is bound to her, it seems. There was a altercation, a death, that lays heavy on her head. And now she must attend to the child.
He nods. Stanley, did you want to do anything? So I cut you off. Sorry.
No, just Stanley's following. He's not gonna let her just go.
All right, so Nash, everyone's now in the forest except you. I don't know. I feel like you're gonna react to this.
I was there the whole. I mean, I was there. I'll fall if Stanley goes and Hope goes. I'll go. I'm gonna do it though.
So everyone ignores
Varel's
request, and everyone shows up into the forest.
I want to float up and be up
You
high.
float through the forest.
Yeah, I want to have some bird's eye on this.
Oh, okay. So you don't see Nash, but you can hear. Are you trying to stealth
No.
Nash?
No, they can hear me. I
Right,
just
so
want a good
you can
view.
hear Nash moving in the trees above.
So I call for Hope and a floating Nash and Stanley.
Yeah.
Walking towards me and floating. They're inseparable, surely. Hope,
Yeah, I'm not gonna let Hope go anywhere by herself right now. especially not after it seems we might have a witness to what happened in Tiakat.
Very well.
This is acceptable to me, if it is to you, Great Fang.
Fine. Hope, Omnom here tells me 2 disturbing happenings. The first, that the push you gave me there in the throne room was actually a rocket that propelled me into orb. Is this true?
Yes.
And it destroyed the families.
Uh-oh.
You complain.
Chunks does not like that it destroyed the families.
You know what? Why don't we leave
Yeah.
it there? We're at our midway point. We start a little later today. Why don't we take a break if that works for you, Kristen? Just to help with that, and we'll see where it goes. No pressure. We'll pick up our very personal conversation with Omnom when we come back.
We'll be right back, everybody. Give us, I don't know, 10 minutes. We're going to pee and, all sorts of things. So we'll be back here for you in a second. Well, I'm going to kick off the next half here. All right. We are back, and we're ready to roll.
All right. And when we left off, someone was being asked a question. I don't remember the question. Does anyone remember?
Hope was being asked something. Crap.
If she had killed the families with the grenade.
Oh,
That's
Rocket
right.
launcher.
Varel's first item of business was he was thinking that he would propel himself, and he's having a revelation that perhaps you were the cause of it.
Yes, I shot the rocket. But you wanted to fight Orp, and the entire time you had talked about how weak the families were and how useless.
So you made the decision for the entirety of Razak Val.
You were ready to fight Orp, so I helped that along.
Omnom tells me of a train that burned,
Yes.
and this summoned the demons.
No.
What did summon the demons?
The arm summoned the demons. They could feel its power, they tracked it.
So are we not in danger here? You have an arm.
I can leave.
That is not what I
won't.
asked.
Not anymore. Possibly.
What answers would satisfy you, Omnom?
He's glowering at Hope.
I wish to know the meaning of your retreat at Tiet Kala.
Why did you retreat from Azek Val? The sky was full. The streets were swarmed. And they were coming after me. I thought if I left, they would follow.
In quite an unusual display, Varel, you see water pool up in one of Omnom's eyes, and a tear drips down. And
You shame me. I have no honorable response for leaving Razak Val.
And I have no response for leaving my city, except that I thought it would pull them away from it, but clearly it didn't.
So it
We
was,
are.
go ahead.
it was a tactical retreat then.
I thought so.
Is this what we call cowardice? Tactical retreat?
No. Are you not familiar with this strategy, Omnom?
I do not know what tactical means.
It's as the humans say, a choice you make for reasons. In particular, if you wish an enemy to chase over the hill, where you will have an advantage, you will run for a time, but to fight again.
As we do when we hunt
The very
large
thing.
prey.
Yes.
We put up a ruse to lure the large prey into the eventual trap.
So Hope's ruse was unsuccessful.
I have made a decision. I no longer wish to slay your companion Hope, Great Fang. I am overcome with the disease that has spread even further during this conversation. I fear I may die soon. He kneels down before you and he says, "Put my pathetic existence to end. I am not even worthy of death. Take your power and erase me from existence." And he hangs his head low before you.
I cannot do this thing, Omnom. You hold with you the stories, the people of Razak Val. You are their keeper now. In your weakened body, you must find new purpose.
Direct my purpose.
Think on these events. Will you join us at the house?
I will do as my great Fang bids in his wisdom. If you wish me to be in your house of sticks, then I will be inside of it.
Excellent.
That was really poetic.
We will return to the sticks now, to tear it asunder, to look for a dad's secrets.
His eyes light up a bit with a bit of excitement. We will tear it asunder?
No.
This is gladdening news. I have a need to tear something apart.
We will not be tearing the house asunder. Vorel, please. I would not like it damaged.
I only wish to excite the man. He has been through much.
Yes, well, in his excitement, he might be destroying the house.
Perhaps there is a shed that we could destroy.
Can you...
Stanley, do you have the sadness too?
I'm fine, thank you. I would rather not see my house destroyed, or else it will be a different emotion that I have.
You speak wisely. The House of Sticks does not live, and I'm concerned that its destruction will not satisfy my sadness. Perhaps Stanley and I can find something living to help us.
Why don't you take him for a hunt? You said yourself when we were out hunting that it looked like there was larger prey to be sought after. Maybe this would help satiate our friend for a time.
Yes. Yes, we shall hunt the great beast that eludes me so far. Omnom tomorrow. We shall meet.
Very well. Do you no longer wish me to be in the House of Sticks?
Seems the house is valuable and fragile.
Yes, we are in the land of softlings. I will try to control my better nature, as I know the softlings find their houses of sticks to be very precious. And they respect them as some sort of perversion of the natural world.
Yep, that's what we all agreed to when we decided to start building them.
Yes. It is good to hear you admit it. But Stanley, if you do have the sadness as well, come with us on the hunt.
Sure, it might not be a bad idea. Supposedly somebody is supposed to be joining us, and maybe that will give us a chance to see what they can do. So...
And perhaps Hope can join us on the hunt, Great Fang. There is no better way to reveal a person's character than to find out how they hunt. Yes.
I would see that fitting. Hope,
Perhaps we can bond.
yes. Hope Omnom and you have a rift to heal. And only the hunt can solve it. Will you undertake this quest with us?
Yes.
Well, that makes most of us. Nash, are you going to come on the hunt too?
Yes, I sure will. I'm way up there.
I kind of figured he would, invited or otherwise, so might as well invite him along.
Sounds like fun. By the way, there's nothing around. We're good. I'm keeping an eye. See?
Yeah, you're sentry.
Yeah, I'm sentry.
Someone's been watching Raised by Wolves.
Yep. Oh yeah. Got my arms out and everything.
Sorry, I didn't get distracted. What a genius thing that thing is. Anyways, all right. So, yeah, what would you guys like to do? Omnom gets up and seems to be ready to go and find place to shelter for the evening.
Stanley's gonna return home and look for the keyhole.
All right.
I'm gonna go wrestle with my kids. Then
I
go to
will
bed.
see you first thing in the morning, Vorel.
At dawn, or whatever they call it here.
Yes. And then he just walks off into the forest.
I think they just call it dawn. And I'll float back to my house.
Okay, so everyone makes their way back to the cottage. They enter inside, and Stanley, you're first to arrive because you're eager to discover this thing about the key. So everyone sort of files into the home, and you're now back in the cottage. Lyriel doesn't seem to be anywhere.
All right. I think Lyriel's advice was good. Think about anything associated with my father. I don't have a lot. Maybe it's best if we just all look for a keyhole.
What story does your father bring you?
I mean, I only really remember pieces. My father was an elf, obviously. There's a lot I didn't know about him, but in my household, everything was elven custom. You know, my mother was a human, but they only spoke Elvish. The name he gave her was an elven name. He did speak of Elhandar, though I didn't know what it was at the time. I don't know much beyond that.
Do you think he would have hidden the room from you? Or from prying eyes, not you?
Possibly. I mean, I don't know if he intended this house to be mine. I don't know if he would have hidden it or if he would have just left it somewhere. I would think maybe start in a master bedroom or a study or anything like that. I don't know, does the house have either of those? Or all the
So,
bedrooms?
to your knowledge and experience of the house over the 4 days you've been here, none of the doors seem to have locks on them. There's the keyhole is not something you've even seen, even in any of the desk drawers or cabinets, the hutch that we discussed today. Nothing seems to be locked here. There doesn't even seem to be keyholes installed on any of the doors. One might surmise it's because the elves seem to exist in this utopia that no one needs to lock their doors or lock things away here. You would guess that elven culture is not really paranoid in that way.
I mean, that's the thing. They don't seem big on locks, so why the need for a key?
Does any place feel more magical around here?
I don't know. Perhaps a walk of the house, a look around, see if anything stands out. And that's what I'll do. I'll go room to room and kind of just examine it, see if anything seems to call out to me as a room of importance.
Okay. And does anyone else want to participate, or they just leave Stanley to it?
Hope we'll go to the kitchen and look around there.
I'm going to go home and see my children.
Well, you're in the home, but do you want to go to your room where
Yes.
Angela Ashley and your kids
Wherever
are?
my kids are, that's where I'm going.
Okay, perfect. All right, so, and Varel, what part of the house did you want to focus on, or just want to be generalist like Stanley? Oh, maybe
I think he's watching Chunks right now.
All right, everyone make an team investigation roll, please, as they search the house.
Can do. Oh wait,
I
I guess I'm not
got
searching
a 9. But you know what? I'm gonna use my DM inspiration. I'll re-roll that.
16.
And that's a 20 for a 24 total.
Okay. So the four of you spend an hour searching through the room you went to. So Hope, you looked at the kitchen, and Nash, you looked at your own bedroom, and there was Angelashi with the kids, and the kids are kind of being super adorable, very distracting, hard to pay attention. Both Hope and Nash don't come up with anything. Varel, you as well don't find anything. You pull out boards and then place them back in, hammering them back in with your fist as you open up boards. Stanley, you do a sweep through the entire house, trying to be more broad in your search. And as you look into the house, you don't feel that any area is more magical, or you don't have any feeling that's any different anywhere else. The one thing that you do observe is that there seems to be a curious lack of secrets throughout the house. And the thought occurs to you that perhaps what you're looking for is not is enhanced by magic, perhaps. You're thoroughly satisfied that there are no secret compartments that physically exist within the structure of the house that's physically possible. But being told it's in the house and observing the ornate and very oversized nature of this key, that you strongly suspect that there's magic connected to this.
Okay. When we all kind of meet up, I'll tell them as much. It doesn't seem to be anything physical. I've gone room to room. I don't even know what would be hidden. So maybe magic. Though I don't know what kind.
We should sense this magic. Let us divide in two. I with Nash, you with Hope. We'll go look outside while you two solve this mystery.
You think outside is going to be the answer?
I start pushing Nash out the door. Yes, we shall report back if we see anything.
All right, Nash and Varel exunt.
I'll go. Yeah, I'll do so.
I mean, unless
willingly.
you disagree.
No, I'll go.
You
I'll
wanted
go
to stop
willingly.
staying? I assumed you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I made an assumption for you. Sorry.
It's all good.
All right, and now it's just Stanley and Hope.
I would like to roll a stealth check to peek through the window.
Okay. Do you want to privately send me that over Slack or something,
Sure.
so the players don't know? All right, Varel and not Varel, Hope and Stanley. The floor is yours.
I have no idea what to do with this key.
Did your father ever tell you any stories? Sing you any songs?
He did. There was one. Nothing that looking around rings any truth to. I don't know. I mean, I can. If you need me to dispel magic, I can dispel it. But I'm worried that if I were to do that to the key, then maybe I lose the ability to open it. And I'm not like Nash. I don't just detect it and find it. And I don't understand why he thought this key would mean anything to me. Maybe he told me and I just don't remember.
Does your name mean anything?
It does. The name they gave me, it roughly translates to the song at the end of the woods.
Okay, a song at the end of the woods. We're in a forest right now, yeah?
Yes.
What kind of song would end in the woods, though?
I don't know. It's just a name they gave.
Know any songs?
There was a little poem that they used to read before bed every night. Melody has always hung with me. I don't know if I can recall the words. It was through verdant fields and whispered winds, our song shall find you dear. Between the boughs of tattered leaves, our song shall cast out fear. The road before protests your march, our song shall guide your path, and your bones will grow weary there, our song shall hold you fast. When all alone, when we are gone, our song shall take your hand, and when others come into your heart, our song shall understand. Take our love into the skies, do more than we dreamed you could, until the day we reunite, my child, our song at the end of the woods.
Check off inspiration.
Ding, 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 ding. That's
And
really good.
as you start reciting the poem, the key, there's a force to the key. All of a sudden it gains energy and it rattles in your hand, and instinctively you just kind of let it go, and it floats up into the air. And as you recite the poem, it floats towards the set of stairs leading upstairs. And as the poem ends, the key slowly falls to the ground and clanks.
We keep singing, yeah?
Yes, I guess. And Stanley will go back over to the key and he'll just start humming the tune, the melody through it again.
Hope will join in.
All right. And as you both begin reciting the poem, the key begins floating into the air again and ascends the stairwell to the second floor. You follow it to the end of the hallway, and you hear inside Angelashi speaking to the little kids through the wall as you walk down the hallway. And in one of the other rooms, you hear Chunks and Bok going, "Rah, rah, rah," and it moves towards the end of the hallway, and it seems to enter into an invisible keyhole right where the window is at the end of this hallway. And it rests as you stop reciting the poem. The key does not fall from whatever it is lodged into in the middle of space.
Stanley will approach, kind of reach his hand out and feel the area where the key is.
Mm-hmm. So you feel nothing around the key, but the key is like now looks like it's floating in air, and you see like a little hint of ethereal wisps around it, suggesting something of the place it's meant to be in.
I'll try turning the key.
You try turning the key, and as you turn it, there's like heavy gears tied to it. You feel like you have to apply muscle, like, and as you turn it, you hear a clunk, 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 like emanate through the house. And then from the ceiling, a set of stairs magically appear and descend down. And this is quite amazing. As you peer up, you see that there's a third floor to the cottage, but you know from observation on the outside that there's no way a third floor can exist in this cottage. And you suspect immediately what you might be looking at is some kind of pocket dimension.
I think this is it. And Stanley just is going to rush up the stairs.
Okay.
Hope will
So you-
follow cautiously, slowly.
All right, you rush up the stairs and look around. And you're greeted with a large study that's the size of the floor of the square footage of the cottage. It's one big open room. All along the walls are parchments taped along the walls with graphs denoting lines and things that you're not sure what it is. You see constellations, maps of what looks like planets. In the center of and all kinds of diagrams and text written on the walls. In the center of the room, you see a giant globe of the Earth and a map, the map of the Earth current on it. But it's really large, like mechanical, very cool looking globe. There's a desk there, and there's also it's not quite an altar. It seems to be this wooden stand, and upon the stand is a book and a mask. There are no windows in this room. And apart from that, it's bare. It's not bare. It's full of papers along the walls, but there's not stuff on the floor. It's very clean. Otherwise,
Stanley will just be entranced by it and kind of just move across the, staring at the walls, trying to make sense of it and just getting a feel for it. He'll look back and hope, I think this was his. I think this was his study. I don't even know what he would be studying, but I think this is where he did it. And I wonder what he was doing here.
There's got to be something in these notes.
I'll
And Hope
go
will start
over-
looking through.
Look at the book. Look at the mask.
okay. You look at the book, and the book appears to be this book with metal coverings and crisp yellow pages that you can see from the side. The mask appears to be obsidian black and has chromatic gems embedded all along the mask. So like red, blue, purple, yellow, all the chromatic rainbow colors or gems are represented. They're very small gems, very tasteful. The mask has a look of plainness to it, and it doesn't have any straps or any connections to where you would put it on your face. It's just a mask. And that's what you see from your observation. Hope, you begin reading the notes on the wall. You see a lot of mathematical charts, a lot of unlabeled, maybe stellar maps and drawings. There are passages of text, but they are written in an Elven. Do you speak Elven or read Elven?
Pretty sure I don't, but let me double check.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yes.
Okay.
Wait, no. This is Lyriel's sheet. I'm sorry. Hope does not speak Elvish.
Okay, so it's written in a text that you can't read.
Stanley will open up the book.
Okay, you go to open up the book, and you find that there's a force upon the cover that, like there's this resistance as if it's heavier than it looks like. And as you open up the book, the pages seem to fold in. It seems like there's something strange about the pages. They're a bit translucent, and as you fold it open, the pages flip. But they flip through each other, and it doesn't stop on any particular page. It keeps flipping, as if the book was made of infinite pages.
Stanley tries to put his finger in to stop one, a little cautiously.
You reach your finger in, and the page stops on a page filled with Elvish text. Do you wish to read it?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to get some content here. 1 second.
There's content. There's pages.
Oh, I got it. Sorry, I have stuff in 2 different locations, so I just got to get the right one. It's just going to be a second. My apologies. Some of it is in D&D Beyond. So let me see here. Oh my God, where is it? I can't find it all of a sudden. I'm looking for my homebrew creations. Okay, sorry everyone. Just didn't have that window open. All right, it says this looks like an introductory page. It just seems like just the way it appears, it would look like the first page of a book, but it's this text that's just in the center of the page, and the letters kind of glow. They glow a little bit. It's difficult to explain. You can still see it, but the back of the page, the way the contrast of the glow of the page appears on the black of the letters, they're very legible. And it says the following. Do you want to read it privately, or do you want to read it out loud to Hope? If it's private, it'd be headphones off. If it's not, it's with everyone.
Yeah, Stanley would start privately.
All right, everyone, headphones off, please. All right. The book says the following in an introductory paragraph. It says, do the idea, repeat the idea, share the idea, listen for the idea, do the idea, repeat the idea, teach the idea. If you cannot do the idea, you have not found the idea, or the rules of the universe inhibit the idea within the constellations of physical rules upon material regulations jailing the idea. If you have not found the idea, find the idea. If the idea is in bondage, find the key. Then return to the doing of the idea. And yet, the idea is not a thing, it is a state. My learned lectures and indulgent conjectures, for some and how, are within. You may speak your name and an idea's name, and if there is aught to share, share it shall. And what I'd like you to do now, Stanley, is if you look up in the inventory of D&D Beyond, you should be able to find a book called The Book of Adjacencies.
I see it.
You can add that to your inventory. It also contains the following text. The Book of Adjacencies is a mysterious tome containing the journals of Dalit or Nath. It is made up of an unknown number of pages between 1 and infinite at the same time. This is expressed physically as a wonder of golden pages that seem to turn through each other with the metal coverings of the book are opened. If a reader speaks its own name and the name of a page entry, any collection of words one and up count as a possible name, and if the entry exists, the pages will turn accordingly if the person was authorized by Dalit. They are often simple sketches and scientific plotting of diagrams or passages of free written text, and is a journal and not a published artifact intended for mass readership. The book is able to know a person by their voice and their name, and will only reveal entries if the person is authorized.
Stanley will turn and look at Hope. I think this is my father's journal. Seems a bit strange. Let's see. And thinking about it, Stanley assumes that he would probably, his father, if he gave him the key, would intend him to use the book. So in Elvish, he'll use his own name and say, Valir or Nath Elhandar.
Okay, and the book springs up. You're holding it in your hands, or is it still on the altar?
Would have been on the altar.
Okay, so it pops up, floats a bit as the pages begin flipping intensely, and then it lands on a different set of pages. And you see there, it's not an entry for Elhandar. It begins, my dear Valir.
Oh. Stanley will read that as well.
Okay, and do you mind if we keep people here? Do you
No,
read it
that's
privately?
fine. They can be here.
Yeah. It says, my dear Valir. Valir, there's much you should know. So much more than I ever could have said to you in life. Some knowledge must be experienced to be known. Words are not knowledge, being is knowledge. Know this, that you are of true elfin heritage, and even if your wick is short, it will burn so bright. Your mother and I will do our best to sow the spirit of love into you as a shield for all the hurt destined for you. And know this, Valir. When you find this, you should know you're now ready to hear that fate holds for you a pain no father could ever prepare you for. Valir, I've known the exact nature and exact time of my death for some time. I've known who you are and what you might be before I ever met your mother. Know that you are our love, whole and pure, made manifest in this world. I did not say these things to you in life, most likely, because your hurt must truly hurt if you are to become forged into Sidele pure. The elves of Elhandar are trustworthy, and I did not leave on their account. They were too afraid of my discoveries and shunned me. It all started as an accident. The N4SH anomaly, whom you have surely acquainted yourself with by now, appeared in what was then my home in the forest. He was searching for you, someone named Stanley. It was then that I learned time is a physical byproduct of the reverberations of physical material agitated by the energies of the universe, like an ocean wave moving through all of us. And it led me to a new obsession. I made several expeditions to Earth to search for the site of the N4SH series of plural beings. On this next expedition that I depart on, I will not return. But I will soon encounter my love and obsession, Krista. And I will soon meet you. Remember our love, Stanley. Remember that strength is the pain of resisting the will of creation itself. It is the truth of elvenkind, and it's shared with few outside of it. Trust your strength, or the essence of creation and this world that the elves have come to rescue will be lost to the weir forever. Krista and I will look forward to reuniting with you in the Feywild. When you are done with this world, be sure to expire here on the hallowed grounds of the Elhandarim, or in the Feywild itself. Your father, Dalitornath.
Can we give the DM inspiration? That was really good.
Yeah, no kidding. That was really good.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Stanley, if Hope's watching him, she would have just seen him go pale and still.
Stanley, are you okay?
It was a note from my father. He knew. He knew everything that was going to happen to him.
How did he find out?
I'm not entirely sure, but he wrote in his note that he knew how he was going to die. He knew this was written before he even met my mother. Yet he knew both my real name and the name I would be going by. And if I'm reading this correctly, I think it might actually have something to do with Nash, of all people.
Like how we saw numerous Nashes?
Yeah, it sounds like it. It's the same sort of thing we've seen before, where he would show up in places that were meaningful to us, looking for us. And it sounds like Nash may have met my father before I was even born.
Hope will kind of cautiously walk over and offer a hug to Stanley.
Stanley wouldn't move. but he wouldn't push her away.
And then Hope will kind of back away. What would you like to do?
I don't know. This is a lot. I think I'm going to be up for a good portion of the night, probably trying to see what I can see in here. Learn what I can. If he knew everything that was going to happen, it means that he wanted me to wind up here for a reason, and I need to find out what that reason was.
Yeah. I'll go downstairs and keep the guys away.
Hope.
No, Stanley, don't. I'm sorry for everything that's happened after the hand incident. It was never my intention. There's a big story to tell when we're ready to tell it. But I left because I was hoping I could save you all from something. But it got a bit more complicated, as things tend to do. So I'm sorry.
Stanley just nods. We'll talk more, for sure.
Yeah. And then Hope will slowly leave.
Okay. And all right, so Hope, you descend the stairs to the second floor, and you feel a presence you haven't felt for a while in that hallway. Can I have everyone else have their headphones off, please? As you descend the stairs and look down the hallway, you see the hooded figure of the voice. I'm going to put my hood on.
Okay.
And he looks, you can't see his eyes, you just see the little bit of his chin and a small amount of his mouth, and he says, "Are you quite done?"
What do you want?
I failed to see the purpose of this.
Well, I fail to see the purpose of a lot of what you're doing.
Your hand begins to get heavy and begins to burn, causing you pain.
Hope will bite her lip, and she'll just stare at him.
We must get to Pentelweiss now. You had perfectly good companions. I just wish to understand your thinking.
Just give it time.
Apparently satisfied with your answer for now. He doesn't really disappear. You just kind of blink, and all of a sudden, he's not there.
Okay.
The universal sign for put your headphones back on. I feel like we've contributed to sign language.
You know, it's all about what we accomplish in our lives.
Yep, it's the universal sign of headphones back on. You just frantically pat your ears.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so Hope, you continue your descent downstairs to Varel and Nash, who you, as you walk outside to see what they're up to, realize they've been listening in the whole time. As Kyle's stealth roll was a 26.
Oh,
and he's been relaying everything to Nash this whole time.
So I heard that whole bit that I have my headphones off for, or no?
Yeah.
Oh.
Varel's been telling you. Varel rolled a 26 stealth roll. He's been listening, and he's been whispering back to you what they've been saying. So you guys know everything.
Well, and as we went upstairs, I'd like to imagine, if Nash is okay with it, that I rode a piggyback on his underwear powers, and we floated up to the second floor and watched through the window there, too.
Yeah,
definitely happened.
Totally
For
happened,
sure.
yeah.
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hope, when you go downstairs to the main floor, you kind of see a shadow moving about a little bit, and then finally, as you catch up to it, you see Varel piggybacked off Nash, and they're floating in the middle of the cottage.
So I'm assuming you've heard everything.
Well done. Did you forge a friendship anew?
For the record, I didn't hear anything. He told me everything.
I think we'll be okay for now.
Excellent.
But we stay down here. You do not go in that room unless Stanley asks you to.
Very good. We will tell him
Am
that
I clear? And
Very clear.
she'll look up at Nash.
That's fine. It's not a problem.
Okay.
you can tell him how you wrestled us back, how we would take no for an answer. But you defended the friendship that you made in that moment.
We'll see what happens.
All right. So we return now to you, John, alone in your father's old study. The book upon the altar, the mask upon the altar, a desk, and a giant globe that's like 8 feet tall. It's humongous, and papers all taped around the room. Is there anything you'd like to do, or?
No, I think Stanley would probably, up until bedtime or other interruptions, he would probably spend a good chunk of his evening till fatigue got to be too heavy. Looking at the book, trying to use the book, saying things, seeing how the book works, trying to understand that. He'd probably play with the mask a bit, try and examine that. He'd read what papers he could. He'd probably look through the desk.
Okay.
All that sort of stuff.
Without making you have to guess a bunch of words and play this whole game as we get closer to the end of the show, I'm just going to maybe lore dump now, or information dump some of the subjects of your studies, if that's acceptable to everyone.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I won't do headphones off, so you don't have to re-explain it later. We can, do that shortcut. So, I imagine you would begin experimenting by selecting different subjects and trying to find out what the entries are. And this very much is an unfinished journal. So, when you open up El Handar, there isn't, the only entry that comes up is some small scribbled notes where your father was ranting about how the El Handar are myopic in their and not ambitious in their scientific pursuits. So it's not really about El Handar. It's not like an encyclopedia. It's just his thoughts on it, which is like they're a bunch of risk averse people, and he didn't like that. But as you continue studying, getting to know your father and what's in there, I will read for you the entries of note that you will learn something from. And the first that you stumble upon is one called "The occurrence of the symptom of adjacency is caused by the Weir invasion." And the notes are as follows. To get right to the point, I believe the Weir invasion of Earth is causing the fabric of time to disentangle, producing adjacency byproduct, and what the N4SH anomaly refers to as time barf travel. It's a problem, and it's worsening the fabric of creation, I believe. As we know, all matter acts at the behest of regulated forces made by the gods themselves. So there's definitely no randomness to the universe, only randomness that exists, that our limited existences can ponder. However, magic is all throughout creation, and yet not on Earth. When we came to Earth, it was mundane. Some more crass entities of creation might refer to it as a backwater shithole. But this is exactly why Earth needs to be tended. I believe there is a rip from the Weir into mundane Earth, and it's causing magic to exist where it never did before, and it is weakening the fabric of time itself. The series of the principles N4SH anomalies is in fact a symptom of a larger problem, and it's only getting worse. And according to the N4SH anomaly, it was begun by the principle in a future time who has used the mundane Earth's technology to create beings from non-magical means, from this scientific approach. As the Earthlings don't have magic. They have innovated in ways that the gods themselves have never expected. I can only assume that the principal's technologies are somehow fueled by weird energies. But his lore and his tale, his religion, seems to suggest the opposite. I remain unconvinced. The principal must be stopped. But the elves of Elhendar do not agree with my observation. They think I am a conspiracy theorist. Elhendar cannot stand by and let this technological man-demon rend creation itself. The N4SH anomaly has mentioned a place he is from, the solar mines. I think I have found its location, and on this next expedition, I will attempt to discover it, where it is. The entry ends. The other entry that comes across... oh, no, wait. I think I read that. I read this information already. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there's one. All right. There's another entry that's of curiosity, which is the book seems to be titled A Book of Adjacencies. And so one of the inquiries, if you speak the word adjacency, comes up, are his thoughts on adjacency, which is the following. We record many wave functions as having a dimension of time, yet what if time itself was a wave function? Are we living in the wake of some other ripple, which made some other ripple, and yet another, and that this ripple, like in the water trailing a boat, the water moves and churns at different speeds in relation to time? How does water decide to move through space? And if there was a multi-dimension, would there be a branch for each direction the ocean happened to move in? Or was the water always going to move in that direction? If it was always going to move in that direction, it means a force greater than itself is exerting itself on the chemical substance. What is the information in the dimension of time? The information we know well. Adjacency means that if there is a world of possibility, the simplistic branching view of what time is woefully insufficient. Even a water molecule could move in 50 different directions, and if each water molecule of one world creates 50 different possibilities, or 5 million, then maybe what the N4SH anomaly says about time is true, that it is barf, that it is its byproduct expelled into creation. And simply the thought, even to a mind as educated as my own, is maddening. I must know the answer to adjacency. I will consult with the mask again and see what I can learn. And that's the end of that entry. The remaining entries that you read contain maps and sketches, thoughts that go into great detail on your father's theories about time and theoretical physics for the most part. A lot of it a little way over your comprehension from your education on Earth. And you'll read that deep into the night, right? That's how we're going to go. One other thing is that the book did make reference to the mask, which is the mask sitting on the altar. And you notice as you look up, because it often references places like the solar mine and Earth, as you read and look up and look at the large globe, you see a red X in an area where, if you recall the map you were given made by Handsome Dan Dakota, looks strikingly to you like the area of the location of the solar mines marked on that map.
Oh, shit.
And is there anything else you'd like to do this evening as you spend time with your father's journal?
No, I would definitely check out the mask, but I don't know if there's anything I could actually do with it.
Add the mask of Elton 4 to your inventory. And for our listeners' benefit, because they'll be very curious, you spend some time examining it so you can learn this much information, what's in the text from it. Let me see. I just got to find the mask now. My creations. Did I put the word "the" in it?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. It helps me search for it because it goes by alphabetical. So thanks. Let's see. Mask of Elton 4. The Mask of Elton 4 is a beautiful and ornate dragon metal face mask with a chromatic array of embedded gems. It is magically weightless, but appears like a thin and beautifully crafted piece of metalwork. The mask has no band or mechanisms for attachment. It is simply placed upon the face and magically stays in place. Even while not attuned, the mask assumes a shape most pleasing to its wearer, including fully covered or partially covered. It only covers the face and does not extend to the full head. When the mask is worn and attuned to the wearer, it grants vision in the plane of adjacencies. To attune to this mask, one must wear the mask while successfully sleeping for 4 long rests. It gives you the following ability: peer into plurality. As an action, the wearer may attempt to peer into the realm of adjacencies. The vision into the realm of pure physical and metamagical possibility are too confusing for words to describe. All possibility enters the wearer's vision, and viewing physical time and manifestation causes mortal brains a serious amount of distress. The wearer may choose a number between 1 and 20. When that number appears on any D20 die roll visible to the whole table, or if the DM shares the die roll from behind the screen, you may change the result of any D20 bearing that number made for the roll. This is not a willful act by the player, but the sway of fate moving the player's observation of the planes. The wearer may choose any amount of numbers to retain in a single action. However, each number causes psychic damage. The first number deals 30 psychic damage, and each additional number selection doubles the amount of psychic damage than the previous, 60, 120, 240, 480. Carries over into subsequent later uses of the action. The damage counter is reset by inhaling the fresh vapors of crushed Kashib herbs, plentiful in the Feywild and biodome of Elhandar, or eating the heart of a time-flexible entity before a successful long rest. Other magic and feats that change the result of a die roll occur before the effect of the mask, which means that intended magic and features that change die roll results do not exempt themselves from the mask. Once the number you've selected appears on a die, it is expended even if you choose not to change the result. If you have multiple numbers selected, only those numbers that have appeared on the D20 results of a given roll are expended. You cannot select the same number more than once. If the wearer of the mask dies to its psychic damage, the wearer implodes like wrinkled paper into a fine point where the wearer blinks out of existence and cannot be resurrected except by the means of a wish spell.
Well, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's intense.
Is there anything else you'd like to do with your evening, or would we like to...
No, that'd probably be it.
All right, and Nash, Pharrell, Hope, anything, you're gonna leave Stanley alone? Is there anything that you'd like to do for this evening, or do we want to prepare for the next day? Keeping in mind that we're at time, but I was late for the show today. I don't know how much longer you guys want to go. It would be soon a breaking point as we could start the hunt on the next episode.
Yeah, I would probably just settle in, put the kids to bed, and settle in with Angel Ashy and call it a night.
Yeah, seems like a good breaking point. So why don't we do that? We'll pull out. The camera will pull out on Stanley leaning up against the desk, reading the book, examining the mask, and then with the big globe and soft candlelight glowing upon all the parchment as it pulls out and out and out and out and out. And we fade to black. And that's all for this week's There Will Be Dungeons.
Nice.
Everyone here deserves an Academy Award today.
That's intense. This lore stuff
All
is
amazing.
very, very cool.
Nice job to the DM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for being late. I was really jacked and prepared for the show.
No, it was good.
But yeah,
dude.
so for our listeners, I'm a little late for the episode today. So if it's a bit shorter, that explains why. But it was a good one.
It was a good one for sure. Man, this is going to go places. So come back next week as the hunt begins and more happens right here on There Will Be Dungeons. If you would like to support us and help the show continue to thrive and survive, head on over to therewillbedungeons.com and sign up to be a Dungeons Plus member. It's super easy, and you can find out all the details there. We do bonus shows. You get artwork in the mail. Lots of cool ways to get cool stuff. Just got to sign up. That's at therewillbedungeons.com. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week. This show is part of the Frog Pants Network.
Frog Pants Network.
Get more shows like this at frogpants.com. Well done.
Wow, you guys were amazing today. Holy shit.
Yeah.
You guys were all incredible.